Today's episode of Conversations with Purrr is proudly brought to you by Tiger Purrr Chai, chef-crafted, made from pure, natural ingredients, designed to activate your power within. Thanks for tuning in again. This is part 2 of Conversations with Purrr with my very good friend David Chiem, CEO founder of world-renowned MindChamps. It was such an important conversation, we had to split it in 2 parts. Enjoy part 2. So I want to talk about MindChamps soon, but how you've done a lot in film and television as well, because that really catapulted you into that industry.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit to that and how it has bled into your work at MindChamps? Because I really want to, only because I've stolen your quotes and spoken about the 3 Mind Revolution in a couple of conversations.
Great.
I'd love to go into that as well, because the champion mindset is something that we both share.
Great, yeah, you've definitely got the champion mindset.
So,
well, look,
film and television.
Yeah, look, and how did that whole entire background, because I went to, after doing Butterfly Island, and then, like I mentioned earlier, being a refugee, seeing sons and daughters, and suddenly I'm in Sons and Daughters, it's like, it was just, and I remember, I remember going to school in Auburn, and, when Butterfly Island and Sons and Daughters was on TV, and I'd be walking home or going to the shops, and a lot of the young people there would say this, and it's a paradigm, and it's interesting. A lot of them will come up and go, Are you the one that's on, on Sons and Daughters? And I go, yes. They go, no, you can see them just like blown away for this reason. And then they can't even help themselves with this next kind of like question that is, oh, you are. Like the first thing is, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Aren't they in a different world?
Yeah.
And I'll go, no, I live here. I live here. Yeah. And it's interesting, that we create these paradigms. Yeah. That, but anyway, so how did I go from there? And then when I finished my HSC, got the marks so that within the family, mom and dad can hold the face to the relatives. He could have gone to do that, medicine. However, he went to theatre school, acting school.
Yes.
So he's not a bum. And that was very important to me, to make sure that I honour, what they've given me, and not say, oh, I'm going to do that. Who cares about that? No. Whatever you do your absolute best. Yeah. I've been very big on that. And so anyway, finished HSC, didn't go to medical, went to acting school. Met, as well. And when I was acting school, we were already, doing martial arts and all that. And then by the time I went to UTS, we were there together. I wanted to learn more about international discourse in terms of Western perspective about global thinking. That's why we majored in the Bachelor of Com with film major. And then after that, I thought, not enough. I've got a film school. Anyway, did all that. And so how from that, and then worked in the industry, had my own production company. How to go from that to MindChamps. And it's kind of a bit of a link back to, when mom was in Singapore with dad for one of those entrepreneur nights, and they were both obviously so proud, because I literally went to Singapore with nothing. And then, anyway, mom was I said, mom, this 2 professional photographers and videographer, and she's like, no, I don't care, I'm taking pictures of you.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, and so they were so proud. So anyway, that night, when we came back and, they were going to bed, I came in to thank them both. And they were quite emotional that night, and I thanked them both, thanks so much. I said, it's what you've given me that I'll enable that tonight. And Dad said, for what? I said, for not stopping me, and for allowing me to pursue my passion. At that turning point. Yeah. And I said, Dad, it was because you didn't stop me from pursuing theatre and cinema that has shaped the thinking and the person I have become. Yes. The perspective of the world that I see now. Yes. Through that lens is what enabled me to see what has become of MindChamps.
Yes.
Yeah.
You say that MindChamps was your calling, David.
Yeah.
What was that moment like, or that period of time like? What came over you? What were you pulled to do? How did that download?
Yes, yeah. Well, I would say there was 2 epiphany moments. And sometimes in life we experience certain things, we don't do certain things yet until there's certain moments. I believe life's about moments, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a turning point, you know. The first intellectual moment was, in fact, when I was in 1995, when I was at Australian Film, Television, Radio School. And the head of school came in and he said this, and that was an intellectual epiphany. He said, congratulations, you're all here because you have talent, but now that you're here, park your talent somewhere else.
Okay.
He said, now you're here, we're not interested in your talent. Now you're here to learn the craft.
Yeah.
He said, it's the craft that will lift your talents to heights you never even realize. He said, talent, they're everywhere. Those who rely on talent, they'll max out. He said, it's a talent that will lift your talents to heights you never even realize and continue to do so.
Yeah.
When he said that, I thought, wow, we spent 5 days a week at school. Yeah, you think about it, from year 1 to year 12, 5 days a week at school. I mean, that's all we knew at that time of our life. 5 days. And essentially, I thought, wow, the school system only taught us the what to learn.
Yeah.
We learned the what. We passed exams. We learned the what, passed exams, and then it's gone. We just learned the what. No one ever taught us the craft, the art of how you learn. The system totally missed that.
Yeah.
And I thought, what is that about? And then second thing is, because we have, obviously, some people are not academic inclined, the system missed it completely. And then the person says, I hate this, because no one taught us the how. And they become an adult and they still say, oh, numbers, I'm born bad at numbers, I hate numbers. Or reading is a chore, I hate reading. You know, I see a book, I yawn. I thought, wow, we spend 5 days a week.
Yeah.
We spend billions of dollars in this stuff, government, spend billions in the budget every year. And we have people who come out of the system saying, I hated school, book reading is a chore, numbers, I'm bad at it. And I thought, that's a gap. And anyway, I was interested in telling this story first as a documentary. And I thought, so I started researching for a documentary. I thought, then when I dug so much deeper and wider and read all of the global perspectives on this, I thought, this story is a global story. It's not just a local story. And I thought, and then it dawned on me, and I remember seeing all the great documentaries that even hit you in the head about certain things in society. And I thought, but even though that story's been told on a doco, and it does hit you in the head with it, but that gap's still around. You know, there are many great documentaries that does get you to wake up to certain things in society, but that gap's still around. I thought, wow, if we really, really want to create change to the world, I thought we've got to create a new model of learning.
Yeah.
And I thought, unless we do this, the system's not. It's not going to be easy for the system to change, especially when the world has leapt forward. You know, today in the 21st century, the human brain is very different to when we were at school, too. Yeah. For that young child. So anyway, and then that was an kind of intellectual epiphany. But you don't do things, and I was still working, you know, on movies and all that, and until there was an emotional heartstring epiphany moment, and it takes us back to Cabramatta, so I get a phone call because Only the Heart, my first novel with Brian Caswell, and we met each other at the film school, was picked up by the Ministry of Education, was studied on the final year English literature text for HSC.
So good.
And the VCE, you know.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad were so proud because, like, we didn't speak a word of English. Their kids' book is being studied by Aussie students for English literature. So anyway, so I get this phone call from the agent, and she says, and I used to get all these bookings to give talks to obviously HSC students, all these HSC students and VCA students in Victoria. And one time she picks up, she says, this school wants to book you into primary school, David. I said, primary school? They're not studying on their heart. And she said, no, the principal is so excited. She really, really wants you to speak to the whole school. And I said, what school is that? And she says, Cabramatta West Primary School. Oh. And when she said, I said, did you say Cabramatta West?
Yeah.
I said, of course. I said, I even had to ask her for her permission. I said, for this school, would you be okay? I don't want to charge. for this school. I said, I wanted to give this talk for free. And I told her why.
Yes.
So anyway, I go back to the school to give that talk almost 20 years later. I bring my certificate from Cabramatta West Primary, Miss Cadogan. I bring my cert. I rock up at Cabramatta West. I was so excited. I show the obviously new principal of the school who booked me. I said, I came from this school. And she was excited. Yeah, because you and I know back in the that period, Cabramatta didn't have a very good reputation. And if you keep growing up in Cabramatta at that time, every time the Vietnamese were on the news or Cabramatta is on the news, there's something not good. So, you know,
drugs, crime, gangsters,
drug capital,
murder, assassinations, all that stuff.
All that stuff. And, you know, so if you keep growing up there, I remember going to Cabramatta, seeing young kids, you know, don't want to talk and speak Vietnamese, you know, not cool, you know. So anyway, and I really, you know, that was something that I really felt, you know. And so when she said, you know, Cabramatta West, I said, I'm there. And when I said to the principal, you know, I'm from this school, she was excited. Then when we walked in the school hall, I see about 600, obviously predominantly Asian children, sitting with their legs crossed, you know, waiting. And then when I came in, she introduced me. She said, oh, children, you know, David has done this. You know, he was the first Asian, did this in 1984, showed the picture of Butterfly Island. He wrote this, he was in Sons and Daughters, blah, 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 blah. He did all this, and, you know. And then when she said this, she said, and what's more, children, David came from our school.
Wow.
And I saw 600 children that day's energy shift. And you're big on energy, so you know
they saw what's possible.
The energy shifted, and then there was one boy. To me, he must have been Cambodian, because we Asians can tell each other. We can tell the difference between Vietnamese and a Cambodian. We can recognize. And when she said that, when the whole energy of the room lifted, this little boy literally, he punched the air and he went, yes! And when he did that, I saw him punch the air and said, yes. And I just stood there and I thought, wow, I haven't even said anything. I thought, do we have that much responsibility?
We do.
To just to give back everything that the universe has given us. You know, and I thought, wow, we do. I thought, wow, I haven't said anything. Just because I came from that school, those children thought, yeah, if you could do it, we could do it. They believed. And I thought, wow, that's that's mindset. And so that from that head of Australian Film School to that moment, that was the heartstring moment. And I thought, wow, I got to put on hold my passion for the movie world and storytelling there to tell this story. Because I thought this story not only has not been told this way, but it needs to be told not just by using, obviously, film for documentary, but actually we've got to build the model. Because unless we build this model, how's it going to happen? So that's when I thought, wow, what have I learned from my entire learning in the theatre, cinema world? And how can I transfer some of those things I've learned to very quickly, but at the same time with deep respect for the craft of entrepreneurship. And I'm always, you know, these days, I'm sure you do too, when people say, you know, what would you say, Pauline, to the budding entrepreneurs, you know? I always say, look, I think in society we use the word entrepreneurship a bit loosely. Everybody's an entrepreneur, got a good idea, entrepreneur, you know. I said, it's a bit more than that. And I think just like, I mean, if you want to be a director or anything, there's a craft. And I said, there is craft, Joe. And I, you know, when they ask that, I say, well, you've got to respect the craft. So actually, I thought, what can I transfer from my learning from theatre? In fact, in theatre, you got to learn to create something from nothing. Or even if there's something that's been around for 500-600 years, like Shakespeare's incredible, you know, scripts, plays, you still got to make it uniquely different. So whatever you do, how do you turn something that is not there to something that the world hasn't seen, uniquely different. And in fact, I had an incredible, you talked about earlier how that we've all got one teacher. So apart from that teacher, Cabramatta West, years later, when I'm at theatre school, the teacher who taught me Shakespeare, and I was thinking, Shakespeare, I'm not going to make this. Only Asian student in that school that year, at the theatre in Pauline, and spoke obviously with still an accent back then, until then you learn voice and you learn articulation, you learn all these things, And he said, David, when I cast you in Shakespeare's Hamlet, I want you to speak Shakespeare's Hamlet as David Chiem. He said, if I want a Caucasian Hamlet, there's thousands of them. He said, speak it as David Chiem, because when you speak it as David Chiem, he said, this is a piece of theatre Australia and the world has never seen. Liberated my mind. Because literally I was in the shackle of, wow, Shakespeare, you need to speak this as an English, be more, and put on that. He said, no, speak it as David Chiem.
Yes.
So anyway, that liberated my mind. Years later, when I was thinking about how we're going to tell this story to the world, the craft of learning, the mindset of the learner, and what can I learn from the theatre world to create something, and how do I bring that to the entrepreneurship world? Well, one of the first things we learned is you got to have a very clear, powerful story. What's it really about? What's it about? And I was so clear. We're going to tell this story, and we're going to fill in this gap, the global gap of education globally. For hundreds of years, it's been about the what. This story is going to be about the how and the mindset. But I thought, wow, to tell this story, you can't be arty-farty. You got to have substance. You got to have solid research.
Yes.
You can't just go head on with the education system globally and say, oh, we've got a good idea.
Yes.
That's arty-farty.
Yes.
I'm
in theatre.
I'm in theatre. That's right. Yeah. Or as you know, to launch any product to the world, you can't just go, oh, we've got a great product. Everybody, what's the substance?
Yes.
And it's that substance that will create, the space and command its space. Well, everybody's trying to quickly just, rush through certain things. I thought, how do you command your space? So I thought, if we're going to tell this story, we need solid scientific people and research. And I thought, you can't even just tell this from one domain. And I thought, as society, we've been living in silos.
Yeah.
Education's over there. And how do you become a teacher? Well, you finish your HSC, in Australia, year 12, and then you go and do a degree in education. You can go back to school and you become a teacher. And then you see the world through that lens, and you're a teacher for 30 years, and you see it through that lens. And then there's people over there called psychology. They study behaviour. And there's people over there called neuroscience. They study the brain.
Yes.
And when I was interviewing a lot of the teachers, I realized, wow, even these professors, you know what you know so well. But you don't know what, for example, Spielberg, or James Cameron or Kubrick knows about engagement. You don't know what, Stanislavski from theatre world knows about how to bring out the best in a student and help them to become. School, we did a lot of mimicking, but we didn't help our students to become.
Yeah.
And I was very big on it. I thought education shouldn't be about mimicking. It should be about becoming.
Yes.
And I remember as a theatre student, anybody can memorize the whole piece of Shakespeare's Hamlet. If you want to, you can. Sure. And in fact, if you want to, and let's say your dream was to perform Hamlet, play the leading role in Sydney Opera House, and you go and get people to back you, and you hire the theatre, and then you say, I'm going to do Hamlet, and I'm going to be the star. You can memorize it, and you can stand on stage that day and deliver that word for word. But until you have learned, you've gone through the process of becoming Hamlet.
That's the craft.
You command nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the craft. You command nothing. So the school system, I thought, was a lot of mimicking, but it never became us. I've always said, if we said, what's trigonometry about? I mean, we all did trigonometry.
Yeah. Triangles.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You know, and at best, most people say, isn't that sine, cosine, cosec thing? Yeah. And what's it about? Yeah. We don't know.
So you took the 3 silos.
And then I thought, wow, how do we connect education with understanding behavior?
Yeah.
Because rather than just blaming the student, let's understand behavior. And I realized that education did leverage on psychology. You study a degree in education, there is some topics or there's some subjects in psychology, child psychology, but basics. I thought, but rather than going just the basics, let's go deeper and understand the neuroscience of mindset formation and concept formation. How does the brain actually learn?
Yeah.
And then once we understand that, let's bring the 4th domain, which is the world of theater, to engage.
Yeah.
And train the teachers about engagement and how when we create a curriculum, we edit this flow to engage.
Yes.
True. And so anyway, when I had the epiphany about these 4 domains together, I thought, well, who are the giants in each field? So who would you cast in these roles? Yeah. Who would you cast?
Yeah.
So I thought, wow. And the first person I thought would be the starring role would be, we need a neuroscientist.
Yes.
Because education, we already had good, solid understanding, but we need a neuroscientist who understands and who's the giant in this space. So we were very, it was amazing to have Professor Allan Snyder.
Yes.
He was the director of the Center for the Mind, 150 chair at the University of Sydney's research, fellow of the Royal Society, and for him to believe in this story when we had nothing, and years later, I even thought, wow, it's incredible how did that happen? And I thought my learning in theater world, the story has to be clear, and how deep is it that you want to tell the story? And I think in the entrepreneur's world, for me, it's the same. It's like, to me, in the entrepreneur's world, it's about what's the gap in society, and if we're gonna fill in this gap, how can we do it uniquely differently? And contribute to this space, and then how do you continue to stay ahead of the curve, but never be ahead of oneself?
Yes,
that's a big thing. How do you stay ahead of the curve, but at the same time, the duality of that is never to be ahead of oneself. Which is why I'm big on the work that you do, Pauline, because the work that you do is a lot about deep self. Yeah. Obviously, not just understanding, but deep reflection. Yeah. Of who we are, what we're about, because when you get successful, it's so easy to get ahead of oneself.
Yes.
And then when we're ahead of oneself, it affects, obviously, it actually shackles us. So
we don't have a wide aperture.
Yeah.
So in summary, the 3 mind revolution: the champion mind.
Yeah. The creative mind and the learning mind.
Yeah. Yes.
And that was the other thing I saw. Yeah. I thought the school system not taught, the craft of learning, but the mindset and what should be in this toolbox. That's why I'm very big on that. If education, is not about drilling, it's not about, hammering. Yeah. Now, what should you be really about? And so I reflected. In the theater world, we know that if art's the mirror, and art is a mirror to society, for thousands of years, if a society lacks art, it lacks soul. It helps us to reflect who we are.
Yes.
True. And I did study art, in my years for my HSC, and I saw, wow, from ancient art to all this whole evolution, Renaissance and modern, you see society, you see people's behavior and thinking. I thought, wow, but art alone is not enough. You hold up the mirror, the piece of art, people go, wow, that's inspiring. Then as you and I know, how do you change yourself?
Yeah.
It's just not easy. But once we're inspired, to change oneself is so difficult, And so I thought, if art's the mirror, then art alone, while it's critical, is not enough.
Yeah.
And that's not even going to another whole area, which is art. To even appreciate, you got to have the privilege. Yeah. I remember doing a theatre show for the Sydney Theatre Company, and thinking, wow, only very few will get to enjoy this, because how many people privilege? Yeah. How many people can afford $100 ticket for a family of 5 children to go and see that show? Most kids who in certain families never get to experience that. I thought, well, if art's the mirror, art alone's not enough.
Yes.
Art's critical though. And I thought then, education is the toolbox to build our future, not to mold the future, to build. Because when you provide the craft of learning, doesn't matter what the world's going to be like, the learner can reinvent themselves and continue to learn. And then with the right mindset, what kind of mindset do we need in the 21st century? And I remember reading Alvin Toffler's work, and he wrote Future Shock, the futurist, Alvin Toffler. And he said that the illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write. He said the illiterate of the 21st century are those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Yes, it's true.
But what's that really about? And I think society kind of somehow missed that. When he said learn, I thought that's not about what you learn, it's about how you learn. 21st century. And then when he said unlearn to relearn, I thought, well, forget about unlearning if you don't have the right mindset. That's about mindset. Unless you have the right mindset, there's no unlearning to relearn. Sure?
Yeah, that's right.
In fact, the more the person does something for so long, the more it is harder to unlearn because it's their mindset. You know, and they're comfortable. Sure? And so in the world of AI, I thought that is so critical. So what is in that toolbox they need? They need the 3 minds. So we wrote the 3-mind revolution. And I thought, wow, first and foremost, they need a champion mind.
Yes.
And during the Sydney Olympics, Prof. Allan Snyder did a global forum to study champions. And it wasn't just based on motivational hype. And he says it beautifully, you know, motivationals, they would say determination, hard work, passion. You got to have that, he said. You know, it's a given. It's a given. He said, you don't have that, you don't begin. But what is it that separates champions? We're not talking about success. You know, we're not talking about, oh, you got so much dollars behind you, you're successful. We're talking about people who make breakthroughs in their fields. So we did the study of 5 areas of business, politics, arts, sports, and science. 5 domains of life in society. Those who make breakthroughs in their field. So Mandela came to actually open the event, you know, at the forum, and it's part of the Olympic event, culture event of the Sydney Olympics. So it was incredible. So we had people who are Nobel Prize winners, international, you know, art prize winners, Olympic champions. So anyway, to study and distill what is that ingredient. So that was then coined as by Prof. Snyder into what's called champion mindset. And Prof's been with us for all these years since then, and we're the only organization globally that inculcates and took that research into a pedagogical approach to nurturing young children. Why do we wait until people become an adult and say, why don't you have that mindset? You can't just switch it on. The brain doesn't work that way. And then the second mindset, we realized that, wow, once you've got the champion mindset, I mean, that's a whole area that is a whole 3-hour talk. But once you've got that mindset, the second mind you need is the creative mind.
Yes.
You know, to see the world through multiple perspectives. And to lay those foundations that the child's brain is already, the neural pathways are laid where you can very fluency can connect things. But you can't switch it on also. You know, it's harder when you're older. Those neural pathways, when they lay young, it's much easier for them to access it. And then the third mind is to teach them the craft and the art of how to learn. You know, there's so many ways. And also, what's uniquely you, the way you learn. And then there's a ways of learning. And I love what Michael Jordan says on this. He said this. Jordan says, you can practice shooting 8 hours a day. But if your technique is wrong, then all you become is very good shooting the wrong way. And I thought, wow, that's kind of like, that's why some people grow up, become adults, and they say, I still hate numbers. Sure. Practice that for your whole life, 12 years, the wrong way, and still hate it. Sure. And then believe, I'm just born bad at maths. That's not, the science doesn't show that. It's only you practice the wrong techniques for that long. And so that's where the learning mind came. And the 3 then became 1. And we would then say, oh, the entire education model of MindChamps is based around that research of the 3 areas.
I'm so excited for the future of the children of tomorrow. You're doing such great work to push forward humanity in that way, and incredibly fulfilling. I have 2 final questions to ask you, David. So Butterfly Island, I believe, was a pinch me moment for you.
Yes.
For a 14-year-old, I believe that at some stage it would have been a I've made it moment. Right? David Chiem, the adult, what would be an I've made it moment for you?
Okay. Look, great. Profound question. Actually, Butterfly Island, somehow, I think it's also still the mindset of being grateful. It was definitely a pinch me moment. In fact, probably even more when I was cast on as one of the guest stars in Sons and Daughters.
Yes.
Because it was Sons and Daughters was huge.
It was huge.
It was huge. Yeah. And everybody will kind of watch that show. So that was definitely a pinch me moment, especially when I'm on set with these stars.
Yeah.
That I used to like, wow, and I'm like on set with them. It was definitely a pinch me moment. However, I don't think I ever felt, sincerely, I've never felt I've made it moment.
Well, I'm feeling it for you.
Yeah.
My friend, you've had many I've made it moments. Because there's so much more to be done, right?
Yeah,
there's so much more to be done.
And see, that's why even though I was like they call it child star, I wanted to go to acting school.
Yes.
I thought, well, I mean, I want to learn more.
Yeah, that's what mastery is all about.
Yeah.
Give me more.
Yeah, I want to learn more. And then when I finish acting school, I want to go to film school.
Yeah.
I want to learn more. And I mean, we all know what people say. The more you learn, the more you realize you need to know and learn more, and the less you know. So, and that's true. And so therefore, the hunger, what drives me is there's just so much more to not just learn and become, because none of us are there. I love the spiritual thinking of hang around with those who are still searching. And stay away from those who have found it, and
it's a constant evolution and a constant revolution.
And living that, I think a lot of people talk about those things. That's why I'm very big on we must be ahead of the curve, but never ahead of ourselves.
And you certainly embody all of that. You certainly embody all of that. My last question, David. I know the silly side of David.
The real side.
And we get up to some silly stuff.
The real side.
Others know you as being quite serious. What makes David Chiem purr?
Well, yes. I think what makes me purr, look, moments where you can truly just be with somebody. I'm very big on this. And in fact, Prof. Allan Snyder said this when we finally connected, and he trusted me so much to say, let's do this and let's tell this story together. And to have a fellow of the Royal Society when we had nothing. I mean, if I was to compare that to the movie world, it's like, you got nothing, and you've never in the space of education back then, or scientific world, or even the entrepreneurs world, I had nothing. It's a bit like saying you got nothing. You never made a movie. You literally have nothing. Then going to like the super grade A star. I don't know, the number one world's Hollywood's most number one star, and say, "Can you come and be part of this to tell our story?"
Yes.
When we have nothing.
Can you act in my film?
That's right.
Can you act in my film?
And we have nothing.
Sure.
So back then, what was it? So for me, to be able to really find that level of trust. So what was it about that? And he said this. He said, David, if two people, and he said, I've worked with a lot of people in my life. If just two human beings, can trust each other 100%, you can change the world. And that was profound. It takes years to understand that.
Yes.
He's not talking about, here's some money, can I trust you? That's nothing. That's nothing.
You've got each other's backs. And 100% respect, zero fear.
And no inhibition. That you can just say anything to each other. Those are the moments where I feel that's the Purrr moment. Where there's no inhibition. Where you could do anything, and others will go, oh my God, that is shocking. But together you trust each other so much that you don't not fear that you judge each other for that.
Yeah.
And those are the really, really rare moments or rare relationships you find in life.
Yeah.
And then moments you can have together. You know, because we do live in a world where everything is judged.
Yeah.
Instantly, too. And these days it's even more instant. So that's why we're very big on nurturing young children to what really then makes me purr.
Yeah.
Is to know that we're contributing to everybody says the world has changed and leapt forward, but people still don't see that the education system has a long way to go to catch up in this way.
Yeah.
Why do we need to nurture mindset? Because I've always said to all of our teachers, when that child comes to us, let's say at 18 months, by the time that child faces the real world, this is what we're preparing them for. They'll be going to kind of like kindergarten, preschool, about 4 years, primary school 6 years, high school 6 years, yeah. So that's, before you know, that's 16 years.
Yeah.
Basic diploma degree, that's about 19 years. By the time that child faces the real world, fresh out of the school, faces the real world, that's 20 years time. What year is that? That's gonna be 2040, 2043. 43. I've always said, what's that world gonna be like? Yeah. Now, while we don't know what the world's been like, we need to nurture this. The base of everything is the three minds, the champion, the creative learning. They've got to have that. In a world where AI is going to be part of our lives, they're going to have the champion in creative learning, because AI can access anything beyond and can even outthink the world's #1 chess player. We know that. So school is no longer about content. It's no longer just about thinking. It's actually about mindset.
Yes.
That's the valuable commodity. Yeah. And I thought, wow, if that's the valuable commodity, how do we nurture without the value system of 100% respect? Because the child today, at an age where we can't even imagine, sees things so quickly. They see a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and a little bit of that. And the brain biologically says, I saw a little bit of that, I saw that, and connects the three, and forms a new concept, and says, and even debates that I know. I know because I saw that, I saw that, I saw that. But what they're not doing is with 100% of respect going deeper. Yeah. They're only going very quickly, and we're not nurturing 100% respect first. Yeah. We've always said for Einstein to take Newton's laws further, he had to respect Newton's laws inside out, and understand it and respect it first. But if I was saying, oh, Newton, a little bit, who cares, this guy, he would have missed it. Yeah. Now, and so children today are seeing a bit of that, and they even argue, become teenagers, and they argue, I know because I saw, Mom, did you see? Yeah. Well, you didn't see that. To be fair, you can't argue with something you didn't see. And so we need to nurture 100% respect. Yes. And if we don't nurture that now, and they're seeing so many quick things, little bit, it could be false. It could be actually something that is actually dangerous. Yeah. And it's very hard to undo that mindset. So respect, that mindset, the way we nurture children today, that mindset is so critical. But then with the world where, cyberbullying and all these things, the fear is so rapid, they're entrenched. We also need to make sure we nurture from young. Yeah. Celebrate what's uniquely you. Stop being afraid of that. Yeah. And the two, so within the three minds, what really makes me purr is when I see our graduates go on from the preschool years, and you just see them embody these three minds. And have that 100% respect, but not afraid to be who they are. Yeah.
David, thank you for your messages today. I could listen to you all day. So wonderful, and there's a beautiful sense of security that I feel knowing that you're leading this movement, and it's such a very, very important movement. I stalk you. I can't wait to see what your next step is. I have some ideas in the film world, as well as what you're going to create and develop even further with MindChamps. I want to congratulate you on all your success, and most of all, congratulate you on being the quality human being that you are. I think that you are beautiful and kind and profound, and I am so grateful for your friendship.
Yeah, thank you, Pauline.
Thank you for being here with me today.
You're beautiful.
Thank you. I'm going to give you a hug. Thank you so much for your time today, David. Thank you.